Free TV, in association with getoutofdebtfree.org.
Around midday, there was a knock at the door, and I answered the door because they wouldn't say who it was. I opened it a little bit, and they asked for Michael Summers. And I said he wasn't here, but he'd be back in about 20 minutes. Could I help him? And he said he had I can't remember if he said paper or letter to give to Michael Summers. I said, well, I can take it for him. I miss his Summers. And he said, no, he has to hand it right to Michael Summers. I said, well, he'll be back in about 20 minutes. Then the guy said that he would, had some other stops to make in Nottingham, and he'd be back. A few minutes later, Mickey got home. This was around midday, 1 o'clock or so. And Mickey got home, and he wasn't back 2 minutes, and there was another knock on the door, and it was that man again. And during the confrontation, Mickey asked the man, did he work for Nottingham Council, and the man said indirectly.
Okay, you've been in hospital, Mickey.
Yeah.
What caused it?
Basically, I was attacked by an agent of a man purporting to be from the city council, and what happened yesterday was I had to repair a flat tyre yesterday morning, so I've gone down, got another tyre put on, and as my wife has already told you, I got the tyre done, came home, and this fellow had been, she was in the process of telling me when there was a knock on my door. And I asked through the door who it was, and I looked through the spiral, and he was just stood there, and he wouldn't answer me. So I opened the door, and I said, what do you want? And he still wouldn't answer me. He went to give me a letter, and I said, who's it from, and who are you? I said, I need to see some idea of who you are, and he kept trying to push a letter in my hand. Well, I told him, I need to know, are you from the council? Because if you are, or you're an agent of the council, you're actually in breach of an injunction issued by Judge Godsmark QC a few weeks ago at the county court. I have a single point of contact from Godsmark, which I agreed to abide by, and that agreement came from me to the council, not them demanding that I do it.
So then, in effect, the leader and the CEO of the City Council have both breached an injunction?
Yes, they have. And they're fully aware of what they're doing now, because they've also violated me in relation to stuff related to council tax, because I was in court the other week over council tax, a matter which the chair of the CSA Action Group has actually written to the legal department about, because they're actually breaching my civil and my human rights under several articles. It was also made note to their legal department, and they need to work with this single point of contact. The single point of contact is a woman called, from the head of customer relations, and as far as I'm concerned, they've broken the law. And I told him, right, as far as I'm concerned, one, you have not pressed the entry intercom system to my flat and communicated with me through my intercom, right? So I have not let you in. So in effect, you are trespassing. You're a burglar. You're a criminal, right? And I shouted to my wife to call the police. My wife was in shock. She didn't know what to do. And I told her, no, you wait here while I call the police.
Are the council, who it would sound like have sent this agent to you, are they aware of your physical conditions?
Yes, they are. If there's a paragraph in it. About,
in what?
In the original interim injunction, where they acknowledge the fact that I do have a cardiac issue. The CEO, after a confrontation last year, actually had me put in hospital with a major angina attack last year. So it's not the first time my health has been compromised by either executives of the council or agents of the council.
This could actually be seen as an attempted manslaughter.
Well, at the end of the day, right, the assault had I had a heart attack and died, it could even be murder,
Yeah.
but it would definitely be manslaughter.
And the two behind this are the leader and CEO of Nottingham City Council. The book stops with them at the end of the day. They'll have almost certainly put this process in motions.
Well, if not them, then definitely the head of social services, the one that got brought for the cover-up from homicide. She's already got blood on her hands over the death of another survivor that she promised support from. Sadly, he recently passed away, but they don't care because if there's another survivor out the way, it's one less to give evidence against them.
Yeah. Well, and although yes, she will be liable as well. At the end of the day, the book stops with those at the top, which is the leader and CEO,
Exactly.
and that's the clearest thing we've got to mention here. That what actually happened to leading you to having to go to hospital?
Well, I told him he's got to wait, and he said he doesn't have to do nothing. And I said, well, show me some ID and prove who you are. And he kept trying to wriggle through and get past me. And the first assault was he bounced into me to try and bounce me out of the way. And I told him,
that's not assault. That's battery.
but he bounced off my chest, and he's still trying to give me this letter. And basically, I'm not taking the letter. One, it's handwritten, so I don't know what's in it. It could be anything. They could be trying to fit me up with something. And I don't know, he could have been trying to throw it in my doorway, but I told him I want you to wait for the police. And he actually bounced into me again, and the next thing I remember is putting my hands on the wall to stop myself from headbutting the wall as he's violently pushed me away. And the next thing, he was running down the corridor, and he was gone.
Just in that by itself, he's committed assault and battery there. What then led to you having to go to the hospital?
Basically, I thought I was having another cardiac incident, and we called the police and the ambulance, and the police didn't turn up, but the ambulance did and took me off to the hospital. And I was in hospital from about 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Is there any reason the police should have turned up?
Well, yes, there is, because after an earlier incident this year, Operation Daybreak told me that they'd put a marker on my address that I would get an instant response if anything should happen at my address. They failed to turn up.
That would suggest that maybe someone has removed this marker.
Well, we checked this morning, and the police say there's no marker on my address. So, has it been deliberately removed for this to happen? That's what I want to know, and I'll be asking the Crime Commissioner, Paddy Tippin.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add?
I'd like to add that if something happens to me, right, that people will follow through with this, right, because this is, as far as I'm concerned, is an attempt on my life.
It is. It certainly looks that way, especially as they knew your medical conditions.
And if something happens, I'm just going to ask you, the public out there, to fight on my behalf, because at the end of the day, these are people that are protecting paedophiles, and the people they protect are at the top of the social services, i.e. my alleged rapist, and we believe it goes way beyond there to Westminster.
Well, even just staying with Nottingham, the leader of the City Council and the CEO of the City Council are both culpable for anything that happens to you if it's to do with anything from them, and this was to do with them, and they've caused a medical incident to you, so they are both guilty of at the very least causing assault and battery, and it could go to it could have gone to murder, but at least it could be attempted manslaughter.
That's the way that my wife views it, and some of my friends. It's serious enough that we've got to safeguard myself. And now I'm living in further fear.
No one should be made to live in fear, especially from a council that's supposed to be there to serve us, not to attack us.
Well, they claim that they're supporting all the survivors, right? They're doing nothing. All they're doing, right, is carrying on with their cover-up.
Free TV in association with GetOutOfDebtFree.org.